That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, my dudes, it is here. We got the little taste of it on Thursday night, but we have a full slate of games on Sunday. Now, I am so excited to watch these, and y'all know we're going to be live streaming Sunday morning, so I can go through, I can answer some more start-sit questions. We're going to be putting out a video Sunday night. We'll be live streaming on Monday. We'll be live streaming on Tuesday. We'll be putting out videos every single day at the same time. So if you have not already, go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out to these premieres, because I premiere all these videos. So you can see that live chat, and you'll see if you go down to the comment section, I'm answering a crap ton of questions every single video, trying to give every single person in this audience an answer to their start-sit question. So just make sure you're subscribed, and I'm going to be really excited to do that throughout the entire year. And yeah, drop a like on this video. And lastly, make sure, the number one thing, if you support what we are doing here, if you enjoy me going and spending as much time as I do answering your start-sit questions, the best way to support this channel is by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. This is where we have live streamed every single day for pretty much 6 weeks now. I mean, I've had so much fun, and they actually are doing a ton of fun things. They have Pick'em, and most importantly, they are doing weekly drafts that we are going to get involved in, and we are going to be doing on the live stream. And when you make a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK, as of now, you're getting a $25 bonus added onto that account. I'll say the 13th is the last day of that, so you need to make sure you take advantage, because then that's going to change to a $10 deposit bonus. You're also getting our 2021 draft guide. You're getting our 2021 rankings, our 2021 tiers. And if we hit 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they agreed that they will fly people down to Florida to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with me, to go to the Florida Flock meetup. It's going to be a ton of fun. So please, guys, I want them to pay for me to go to a Bucs game. I want them to pay for y'all to go with me. Make sure you support the channel. Use promo code FLOCK. And that should be it. Let's dive into it. Let's start it off with our first start-sit question. We got all of these from Twitter. You know the Twitter already. And this is coming out from FPL Dallas, who says, Zeke didn't do well for me last night, and I'm expected to lose this week. Is this a situation where I should roll the dice and start Trey Sermon over David Montgomery? I'm in a full PPR league. So the reason I wanted to start out with this question is because I think a lot of people, especially in week one, you're overthinking our start-sit decisions. Now, of course, if you are playing Ezekiel Elliott and you're going, okay, well, now I'm definitely looking like I'm the underdog in this matchup. I'm looking like I'm having to make any play that I can to raise my ceiling. If you're going to be trying to find a player with a wider range of outcomes, the play is not to go with Trey Sermon over David Montgomery. You have to start David Montgomery here. Now, I'm more so bringing up this question. I don't really want to focus in on Trey Sermon or David Montgomery right now, because I think those two running backs are so far apart. I don't even need to explain myself on why we want to start David Montgomery over Trey Sermon. However, whenever we have that Thursday night performance, and say that you started Ezekiel Elliott and your opponent had Amari Cooper, and you are in a situation where you're down and out, you're looking like you're most likely going to lose this matchup, the way that you can try to catch up and chase a higher ceiling on your opponent isn't going to be trying to make that one-for-one running back switch. Now, in some certain scenarios, that could make a lot of sense. I mean, if you're going through and maybe trying to replace someone like a Damian Harris, who we know doesn't necessarily have the elite receiving down capability, and you're maybe going to replace Damian Harris with a Chase Edmonds, someone that we have seen just with massive blow-up weeks, then in that scenario, that makes a lot of sense. However, in the scenario that was just presented, I don't want to be doing that at all. And the easy way that you can actually increase your ceiling from a matchup perspective is by going and making sure in your flex spot, you're actually going to have a wide receiver. We know with receivers, they're going to be a lot more volatile than those running backs, but we have seen it before. Guys like Tyler Lockett, Michael Gallup. Yes, Michael Gallup already played. Yes, Michael Gallup's injured, RIP. But those players could bring some random spike weeks. While the projection isn't necessarily as safe, the range of outcomes is a little bit wider. So if you are an underdog based on your Thursday night matchup, maybe the play is, if you have a running back at the flex, switch it over to a wide receiver that could be a little more boom bust, someone like a Mike Williams, instead of starting a running back that projects to be nowhere near as talented as David Montgomery. Now let's get to our next question. This is coming out from Post Dylan, someone that's been out in so many dynasty drafts with us this offseason, a longtime member of the flock on Patreon, says, this is going to be gross, but I have to start these three. Sermon, Michael Carter, and Javonte Williams. Okay, so if we're trying to figure out what guy we're going to start between Trey Sermon, Michael Carter, and Javonte Williams, Michael Carter is not even in consideration for us here. Now, with Michael Carter, nobody's going to be surprised if he sees less than 6 touches this upcoming week. Now, you can say something similar about the other running backs that we have in Javonte Williams and Trey Sermon. I just think the likelihood that Michael Carter is not utilized at all, and instead they just go purely Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson, is going to be a lot higher than what we have with Javonte Williams and Trey Sermon. Now, between Javonte and Trey Sermon, I actually do prefer Javonte Williams for the entire season. But if we're talking for a running back for actually week 1 and week 1 only, while Trey Sermon, love him for the rest of the year, don't think he's going to have that great of a week 1. However, it should be better than Javonte Williams in that we're looking at the game flow that we should expect between the 49ers and Detroit. I'm expecting, as Vegas is as well, to this be a massive blowout. I mean, we are going to see the 49ers come out and probably just lead the entire game. And if we get to the second half, you know Kyle Shanahan is going to run. And I've said it a million times, but Raheem Mostert's a 29-year-old running back that has had one game in his NFL career with more than 20 carries. He is a 29-year-old running back with one game more than 20 carries in his entire NFL career. So I'm probably not expecting Raheem Mostert to handle every single touch. Now, for the beginning part of the season, he's the starting running back there. Trey Sermon will be the starter by the time we get to the fantasy playoffs. But still, I think Sermon actually does see the highest workload out of all of these running backs for week 1 based on the matchup, and he's going up against the softest defense at the same time. So maybe you're expecting the efficiency to be a little bit higher as well. So now this next question that we're going to come with is going to be from Mr. Llama Boss, someone that's been also a long-time member of the flock. He says, half PPR, Chase Claypool or Devonta Smith. Now, here with Smith, I think that you could make the argument that he's a better player when it comes to the fantasy football playoffs, that we have that elite breakout. I mean, Smith, obviously one of, if not the best college receivers of all time. If you look at the counting stats that he put up his final year at Alabama, it was ridiculous, not to mention that it was at Alabama in the SEC. However, I think for week 1 in particular, all of those rookie wide receivers, I mean, Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Rondale Moore, in a league where you're playing in a shallow redraft format where you do have the luxury of being able to have other options that you can go with, like a Chase Claypool, I really see no reason in trying to roll the dice and just make sure that we're hitting it on the nose exactly when these rookies are going to break out. So all of those rookie wide receivers, trust me, I'm rooting for Smith to come out in a pretty good matchup against the Atlanta Falcons and have a strong week 1 performance. I just think that you actually have both the floor and the ceiling being higher for Chase Claypool. And I know the Pittsburgh Steelers are not supposed to put up a lot of points against Buffalo if you're looking at their implied team total according to Las Vegas, but still, I mean, I think we do want Claypool over Devonta Smith, and maybe this is something that we're not saying 6 weeks from now. Maybe it's something we're not saying even 4 weeks from now. But for week 1 and week 1 in particular, go with Chase Claypool. Now we have another question coming out from Haiku. I probably said this name incorrectly. Y'all know I'm an idiot. If y'all come out to the live streams often, you know I can't read, and that's been known for a while now. But anyway, this question is between 2 guys that we've been talking about a lot so far this week. One in Darrell Henderson and one in DeAndre Swift. And here with DeAndre Swift, guys, trust me, I understand the thought process and I understand the argument that he is more so matchup proof in that he is the running back that's going to be playing on third downs. He's going to be the guy in obvious passing down situations. And we know that the Lions are going to be trailing the majority of this game against the 49ers. But a healthy 49ers defense, that's something we want to be avoiding. I mean, the 49ers are going to be a nasty front that I think just trying to go out there and pick on with a starting running back, even if it's the guy getting targets out of the backfield, that's something that we're looking to avoid. Now, I do like DeAndre Swift in fantasy this season, and I actually do prefer him over Darrell Henderson this year. But Darrell Henderson, in my opinion, is going to be a fantastic start in week 1 as Sony Michel just got added to this team. We're not expecting Sony Michel to have that large role at the very beginning part of the season. That role may expand as we go throughout the year, but for week 1 in particular, I think that you're going to have Darrell Henderson as the feature down running back there, seeing almost every touch out of the backfield. And according to Las Vegas, I mean, the Los Angeles Rams are supposed to boat race the Chicago Bears. So I would prefer to be playing the running back that we think is going to have more touches in the game where the game script's going to be more favorable. So yes, DeAndre Swift's going to be my answer most weeks except week 1, because we also have to remember DeAndre Swift. While I know the coach comes out and says, oh, he's not going to be in a timeshare. Oh, he's not going to be on a snap count. Are we really buying into that? He's coming off of an injury where he got very little usage in training camp, nothing in the preseason. I would rather wait and just play DeAndre Swift in week 2. Week 1's going to be tough for Swift. I'm not playing him. Now, talking about someone coming back from a hamstring injury, let's get to Tracy Smith's question, who says Brandon Ayuk or Jerry Jeudy. And here, Tracy, I think that we're going to go Brandon Ayuk this week. I mean, going right back to that 49ers and Detroit Lions matchup. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be a spot where we see the passing attempts jacked up for Jimmy Garoppolo. And while I really do like Brandon Ayuk for this season, honestly, I'm not even that excited about him for week 1, considering the fact that I think that you actually have in San Francisco right now, this is going to be the time that it's the wide receiver 1A, wide receiver 1B situation with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. And that's because with Jimmy Garoppolo, this is going to be a quarterback that is willing to check the ball down. He is willing to throw it to the guy that's running across the line of scrimmage. He has no mobility whatsoever. So very similar to what we see with guys like Drew Brees from last year, just targeting Alvin Kamara nonstop. I mean, they're going to be willing to check it down because they can't run the ball. Now, by the time Trey Lance gets in here, it's going to be a completely different situation. It'll be a Josh Allen type situation where Trey Lance does have that mobility. Very rarely is he going to be looking at the guy running across the line of scrimmage. Instead, we know Lance can extend the plays with his legs, and then he can look for the players deeper downfield. So I think that Brandon Ayuk is a better fit for Trey Lance than what you're going to have with Jimmy Garoppolo. And guys, ladies, I know we have talked about this a million times, but Deebo Samuel is not a typical wide receiver. Deebo Samuel is the guy that literally is dead last in his average depth of target over the past 2 years in the NFL. He is utilized somewhere between wide receiver, running back. It's so hard to even tell what he truly is. So Brandon Ayuk, I'm not that excited about him this week. We'll be a lot more excited later on in the season, but still, we want him over Jerry Jeudy. It's going to be a game where the 49ers should put up a lot of points. I think Brandon Ayuk's a better player than Jerry Jeudy, and I think he's playing in a better offense. So we're going to go with Brandon Ayuk with all that being said. Now, Omir coming out with our next question says, Deontay Johnson or DJ Chark? And DJ Chark, I actually really like for this upcoming season, but not week 1. And I hate to say this, but the problem with Chark is this is a player that's had very limited reps with Trevor Lawrence, a very limited action with the new coaching staff in Urban Meyer. Now, of course, you're going to be expecting DJ Chark to continue to expand his role throughout the season, but I think this week in particular is going to be one where I'm going to be looking to avoid playing DJ Chark. While yes, he definitely has the better matchup against Houston than what you have with Deontay Johnson going up against Buffalo, I'm just saying that DJ Chark in this scenario is going to be a wide receiver that is probably going to be behind Laviska Shenault, and for this 1 week and 1 week only, also behind Marvin Jones. I think, as crazy as it sounds, I know we've been fighting a lot of people so far this offseason trying to say that Marvin Jones is the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. Now, that's about the craziest thing that I've ever heard. But at the same time, at least we can acknowledge that Marvin Jones has been there through training camp. Marvin Jones has been there through the preseason. So he's going to have that timing down with Trevor Lawrence. He's going to have the scheme fit already with Urban Meyer, where DJ Chark's going to start a little slower this year, and it's understandable why. So we're not going to be playing DJ Chark in week 1, and instead we'll probably have him on our buy low video on week 2. I mean, if we're talking about our buy low video on week 2, I can already call some shots. We're going to have Ezekiel Elliott on there. We're going to have DeAndre Swift on there. We're going to have a player like DJ Chark. We're going to have so many of these guys that we're expecting to have a poor week 1 performances. Include Joe Mixon in that list, going up against the very tough Minnesota Vikings defensive line. So yeah, there are going to be a couple players on that buy low video. We're already mapping it out, already calling it. DJ Chark's probably going to be one of them. Not expecting a ton of production in week 1. However, I do like him for the rest of the season. With Deontay Johnson, just a much safer option to see a bunch of targets. And at the same time, there is an outside chance that that Pittsburgh Steelers game turns into a shootout. Now, according to Las Vegas, they don't necessarily think that the Steelers can score a lot of points. But just like what we said with Dallas on Thursday night, I don't know if we want to echo that sentiment. I actually think that you could see the Pittsburgh Steelers be in a situation where they have to throw the ball, even if they want to go and try to run it and skew as run heavy as humanly possible. there is an outcome in the range of outcomes that Josh Allen comes up, drops 20 plus points in the first half, and the second half, they're not going to be able to just give the ball to Harris. They are going to have to make sure Ben Roethlisberger is trying to chunk it downfield, whatever that means for Ben Roethlisberger, to try to catch up with the opposing team. Now, Tristan has our next question, and this is going to be a tight end question here. Says, who should I start? Mike Gesicki, Logan Thomas, or Noah Fant? Here, personally, I think that Logan Thomas is in a position to smash at the beginning part of the season. I actually just talked about this on our Patreon video for the week. On our Patreon video or a member video on YouTube, you'll see a join button down there if you want to join on YouTube. You can also find the link to Patreon in the description of the video. I definitely recommend joining through Patreon. However, you probably have already heard me go through and talk about why I think Logan Thomas is a fantastic option this week, in that this is a player that is going to resume the same exact role that he had last year, now that we do have Curtis Samuel going and missing the first couple of weeks of the season. And if Logan Thomas is going to assume that role, we are going to see the efficiency bumped up, given a couple things here. Another year under his belt at the tight end position. Keep in mind, Darren Waller making that year 2 jump at the tight end. I'm not saying Logan Thomas is going to be that. However, I am saying with Logan Thomas, I mean, it's at least understandable that this could be a player that literally has very limited reps at tight end, so he could continue to expand his role. He could continue to improve his talent and his comfortability with the position, even though he's 30 years old. You're never expecting a 30-year-old player to progress unless they just started playing the position. So that's one outcome that we could have with Logan Thomas. And also the efficiency should be increased because, I mean, they're going to have Fitzmagic at quarterback. So if they have Fitzmagic at quarterback, expecting more efficiency for Logan Thomas, and to go along with this, I just think he's going to have his role and his target share pretty safe in Washington. While it's a tough matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers, who else are they throwing to? They are not going to be giving the ball that often to Diami Brown, who's going to be in his first game ever this year. So yeah, I think that it's wheels up for Terry McLaurin, wheels up for Logan Thomas. Terry McLaurin, I mean, talk about someone that I did not like coming into the year, but after Curtis Samuel just re-aggravates that injury, we have to sit here and go, okay, well, everybody was taking Terry McLaurin over Allen Robinson. Maybe y'all been right. Maybe y'all got lucky with the injury, but regardless, maybe that call is going to end up being correct. Now, our next question is going to come out from Carson Wentz's burner account. It says DJ Moore or Laviska Shenault. Here, very simple. We're going to go DJ Moore. I mean, DJ Moore going up against the New York Jets. We kind of already discussed this with Robbie Anderson, but I am going to be expecting that DJ Moore is a wide receiver that has a pretty large role on his offense right away, especially at the beginning part of the season, because you're looking at it saying, well, yes, they replaced Curtis Samuel with Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall should man that big slot wide receiver in this Joe Brady offense. Terrace Marshall probably not going to be an impact player right away. Probably not going to be going out there and just dominating people in week 1. Instead, I think that DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson are going to see very similar roles to what they had last year. And Laviska Shenault's more so a projection. I mean, we have already seen DJ Moore at a very young age be hyper productive. So there's no real reason, and kind of rolling the dice there. Now, our next question is coming out from Varen, who says Mike Davis or Cooper Kupp in the flex in a PPR format. Thank you for including that this is PPR. And here we are going to be going Cooper Kupp. Going back to that matchup with the Los Angeles Rams and the Chicago Bears, one thing that I think a lot of people are going to have to learn this season: Chicago's not a great defense anymore. While, yes, they were a dominant unit a few years ago. I'm no defensive expert, but we can definitely do our research. We can go look at what very smart people are saying about the personnel, as well as, most importantly, what Las Vegas is telling us. And supposedly, this defense is nothing of what it once used to be. And I can't sit here and pretend like I'm scouting all these defensive players coming into the year. Of course, I'm not doing that. I would be a fraud if I tried to tell you that I was. But it's very easy to go through and say, Las Vegas knows more than 99.9999999% of people out here. I mean, if you hear someone say that they are a professional sports bettor, that's literally not a job, because the very few people, the handful of people that have ever been able to beat Vegas in sports bets consistently over a large enough sample, they get limited and they can't make bets anymore past like $50. So I'll say, just as a quick side note, if you ever hear someone try to claim to be a professional sports bettor, they are a snake oil salesman. They are trying to get you to purchase something that is worth nothing, and they're trying to perceive to be someone they're not. I'm never going to do that. So of course, but what we can do is we can approach it with more so a humble vision in that we can acknowledge that if we're looking at Vegas with an extremely high team total for the Los Angeles Rams against a team's defense that was supposed to be pretty good in the past, I mean, that defense probably not the best anymore. I'm going to go Cooper Kupp. I know that was a little bit of a rant. I just want to make sure that, because I know that sports betting is becoming legal in a lot of places. I know that people are going to be trying to get sold a lot of these sports betting packages and everything. And to be honest, probably shouldn't be going with it. Instead, you can go through and you can assume that Las Vegas knows more than whoever's trying to tell you that they know more. And Las Vegas is saying start Cooper Kupp and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, Max coming out and he says running back room got plagued by injury. Travis Etienne and Gus Edwards got to start Trey Sermon or Tevin Coleman. I actually got this question on a live stream a couple nights ago, and it was a tough one. We sat here and we squirmed for a little bit trying to dodge the question just because I didn't know how to answer, because obviously Trey Sermon looks like he's going to be the backup running back to open up the season. We eventually just leaned into it. We eventually just went with the more talented player, even if he's going to see less touches this upcoming week. I think based on his talent and the efficiency of the offense, Trey Sermon should be a better option than Tevin Coleman. Don't remember what I answered with a couple nights ago. I mean, I already said it was very close. We tried to maneuver around and make sure that we didn't have to answer that question, but it's popping back on us, and I want it on the official record that we are going with Trey Sermon over Tevin Coleman. Now, thank you, my dudes. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this video, and of course, come out to the live streams. I'm going to be answering so many questions then. Just subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, and the number one way you can support the show and get involved on a live stream is by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. You can find that link in the description of the video. And yeah, that's all I got for you, and have a great day. Thank you to everybody supporting the show on Patreon. We got some new members in MCGC, Brian, Matthew, Craig, Ian, Woody, Colt, Marcus, Jack, and Nicholas. Thank you, my dudes.